and we collect all this data because this data is important for us to move forward in our life and the things that we have to do. And the blockchain as an underlying technology or as an underlying network, which is immutable, auditable, traceable, and somehow ways to save this identifier, this information, in order to bring different players to take care of these people individually. And this is how they are doing by using building blocks. That's no, it's the yes. So that we get to right. Okay, now let's go to a different topic. Now we are moving from refugees to luxury,
The opposite side.
Okay, we are talking about protocol, digital product passport, and digital twins and governance. At the end of the day, what we are talking here is that when we are buying something which is really expensive and somehow we can in time guarantee or somehow guarantee their values, like a very good branded watch, like I don't know, like a Prada bag or things like that. We want somehow to guarantee that is authentic first. We need, even if we are buying on a Prada store, we need to guarantee that is authentic. I'm saying this on the limit, of course, first. Second, we want to prove that authenticity when we want to trade it. Because there are a huge market on the second market, meaning second-hand market, for this kind of luxury products. It's a huge market. A huge market, a very good product to be. Okay. And for that we need to guarantee, mostly on the luxury products, we have to guarantee that authenticity in any moment. Okay. And this is what happened with the consortium of Prada, Louis Vuitton, and others. They join themselves in a consortium and they create ways to record their products in the blockchain in order to be immortal, if you can say, and to be verify the authenticity in any moment by guaranteeing an encrypted certificate of reality.
What is the concept?
What is that?
Consortium.
A consortium. Consortium is done by Louis Vuitton, Cartier, Prada.
It's like a group of
A group of entities, not a consortium blockchain.
chain.
Yeah.
It's another thing. It's a normal consortium.
Okay. This is an example. Let me show you an example of Brighton. Who has a Brighton here? Okay, you have a Brighton. When you bought a Brighton, you received the guarantee with the cap bill. At that moment?
No,
Okay.
You
You see now how it works. Okay, here. Okay.
Do you
How-
remember the story? Do you remember that hoodie that I showed you that had my VR codes?
The same.
They actually related them.
How can you sure that the real thing is real, the one that is tokenized or that is in that warrant?
In this case, by that guarantee that you received.
Yes,
When
it
you
is a
bought,
card,
when you bought, yeah, it's
but
clear.
the card is a card, the watch is a watch.
This is my question.
No,
too.
I think that the QR code is associated serial number that you can.
No, this is green. This is green. There's a link.
If you
There's a
can,
link.
you can make a copy, okay? This, but if you don't have a digital certificate, you can't.
Exactly.
Okay, but
Conclude
Exactly.
so serious
sorry.
and serial number.
Yes. Normally, I have a Portage watch.
Yeah, but
that
if
I
it is a cow or anything else, we are talking about meat or
Each-
anything.
each-
something
each-
like that.
Each luxury watch have a specific serial number registered directly in the.
Exactly.
You need to
Exactly.
verify that it's exclusive, right?
Yes, in this case, yes, it's a watch. But imagine meat, we are talking about meat and it's a cow, which is
Yeah. That's why you have.
That's just a question.
And it's
How do you assure?
How do we sure that we didn't switch the cow in the middle of the, yeah.
Yeah, in the end of that, that's why you have the capacity. You know, provenance, the good of provenance, which means that trace since the inception.
Exactly.
Meaning when you come from you can have a bag of coffee, but you want to understand how this coffee reached to you when you buy it. And you do go back to history until the moment that the coffee was planted. And the question here is, if everything, all the steps were done in the same order for the same purpose, and there's no fraud in this kind of or mistakes in this kind. There are, from our point of view, but Peter, you know better this than myself. You are in the field.
One story here in Portugal, we have ASAI. ASAI is police
Yeah.
that is responsible for criminal investigation about these topics. And they actually here in Portugal, they are paying to a bunch of people that are a kind of gurus about the veracity of certain like writing, etc. And they pay amounts of money to these people to go to the head office, which is in Rio 1, the
Yeah.
center of Lisbon, just to see if it is a real one. So with this, many people are going to lose a job.
Exactly. But more than that, what is important in this provenance sometimes is not only to look at and how funny it is to understand how this was planned. No. Imagine the vaccine. If you have a problem in the end, you want to understand where was the problem,
Yeah.
which lot, which batch of that was having the problem, which you identify here. And this is how mostly the use cases, not how funny it was, because how funny, what interesting it was to have somebody that was planted in that moment, that it was a circular economy or things like that. Important, but not exactly the use case, at least for me, the use case which I use provenance or I look to use provenance. Provenance, if we have a problem here, we need to understand how we can reverse and understand what caused the problem, which kind of work has that problem. That's why I was another example. Yeah. This example, our blockchain, and which is a network, and in that case, what we are talking about is second market. Meaning, I have my brand, my product. My product is registered in the blockchain, but I want to transact peer to peer. And it's a huge market, transact rather peer to peer. Okay, because do not lose value. Well, yeah, do not lose value. This is I have a friend which is transacting all the time, peer to peer, all the time. Okay, several times on watches. He's very good on knowing watches. His hobby, and he has a huge collection because he's looking to this kind of watches, brands, and kind of models which you buy, and you can, and based on all the data which is available and also what is registered on the blockchain, you can identify who has it, and you can transact directly in safe. It's safe. Let me show you. Oops. I missed it. This is a company which is completely focused on luxury brand and on blockchains and logistics for. You have a lot of use cases here that you can see. You have this in the end. But let me show you this case.
Aura Blockchain Consortium enables a seamless customer journey in the transfer of ownership, both for reselling or gifting your items. How? Thanks to the certificate of authenticity, the value of any luxury product lasts over time, enabling access to benefits and exclusive services. When the owner of a product decides to gift or resell it, the ownership can be easily transferred to the next person, offering the brand and the new owner a way of building a mutual and unique relationship. With a very efficient process and the verification on the blockchain, the transfer of ownership is quick, safe, and prevents the risk of counterfeit products. The new owner will have access to the same high-end and dedicated services that the brand can offer its clients. No matter how many times the product was gifted or resold. Get ready for a new luxury experience.
Meaning the product has an identifier saved on the blockchain, okay? which represents that bag. Only that bag and not other bag. And every time you do a transact, every time you gift, every time you sell it or resell it, every time you do things to that bag, even to repair the bag, information is stored in the blockchain regarding to that identifier. Which means at the end of the day, because the blockchain is public, because we are using the public blockchain, we can see all the trace of everything which happened with that bag. Which means when we are buying or are receiving a gift or doing something with that, I have all the history, have all the problems related to that problem, which means that it's more safe, it's more transparent, and in the end of the day, people which are receiving or buying are more interested on this second market. Okay, yeah. And the end of the day could be an NFT like Ines showed last time.
Yeah, I showed the hoodie that I have
Yeah.
that has a QR code.
Yeah.
And you can see where the cotton came from, where it was.
Exactly. Okay, questions? No? Okay, let's move to
It's more for Ines because I do know the example of the hoodie, and anyone can see where
If you scan the QR code,
yeah.
you can see like how the hoodie was made. So the cotton came from India, then it was, I think, assembled in France, and then it was like knitted in Portugal. So it has like the authenticity of the materials.
But in the end of the day, the only problem here which we can have is a problem garbage in, garbage out. Okay? This is the issue, but that's the situation which we try to avoid. Okay? That's why IoT is very important on this case. IoT, Internet of Things. We can have certain kind of ways to guarantee that I'm not trying to misspell, miss something on a product or on a journey. Okay. For example, when you have journeys like products which can be damaged, like medicine or other kind of fresh products, and you are transporting them from point A to point B. If you want to understand the status of those products or those medicines, you use a lot of sensors to guarantee that you are collecting information. Information is being stored in a blockchain related to that product or that lot. because in the end of, and also you can put smart contracts to automate a lot of things, payment, distribution of the payments, split of the payments. But in the end of the day, when we reach the end, you have a history of all of that. Can be garbage in, garbage out, can be, but it will be minimized.
Yeah, so I want to ask about the capacity for the blockchain to include all this information, all this data. There is
Some of this data could be in a blockchain, or some of this data could be out of the blockchain, off chain. But this off chain is related to the reference, use this term, reference or the indications that you have related to that product that you have stored on the blockchain.
So the problem of the memories for I can consider it as a memory, for example. This is like limited or it's open and limitless.
Yeah, in the end of the day, it's limitless.
Yeah.
Could be not limits in the blockchain based on the maximum capacity available, but you can store this information in other parts. You can store it off chain. Yeah, I should have bring the IPFS here.
Yeah, but the same thing we explained, you can always have a large amount of data and store a cryptographic hash on the blockchain. And anytime you're referencing to that original data, the blockchain is the proof that this data packet was referenced at that time. So that way your blockchain, despite having smaller capacity, can be very scalable.
Once again, like Anish said in the beginning, you hash the data.
So it's like
Transform that data in something which is verifiable when compared the hashes.
it's like a link
It's
for
like a link at the
Yeah.
end of the day. But it's a link that you can verify based on the data that you have in one place, the data that you have in the blockchain, hash by hash. If the hash is equal, we are
Yeah.
good to go. Okay. Okay, this is any questions more? No? This is the project which I started. I paused it. And we are thinking to start with it again. And it started 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, and it started a very good friendship between me and Miguel, which is a very big friend of mine. Yeah, let me explain. Miguel is coming from the capital markets. He has more than 20 years experience on capital markets in different kind of capital markets around the world, from Brazil to Asia and Europe too. And he abandoned the capital market, but his mind is capital markets and data, mostly because he's some kind of a scientist, but his wife is a scientist too, which means read science, and that's one like you. And he talked to me and said, why we are not transforming the football performance in an asset to be tradable? If we have a football club, which we can evaluate their performance based on their financial data, why we are not complementing this financial data with performance data? Performance data means that how the players are playing and what is happening online with the game, football game, or what kind of sport. We have a lot of data today, which we can measure and transform this on an index. And that was the purpose. If we have index for the weather, you know that index for weather. Yeah, exactly. But weather is intangible. You don't have anything, but you have an index, and you have a derivative which is derived, meaning following that index. Index is clear for everyone. C20 is an index. SP500 is an index. Okay, index. Index is following something, related to something, and then we have a derivative which is a tradable or an ETF, exchange traded fund, which is related to following this index. Okay, and what we did was to construct the mathematics and the formula to reach to the performance. Okay, and while we are doing this, we did another thing was to predict the outcome, and we split this in two. Only to give you 2 minutes for you to understand. When we were, when we were going to our ultimate goal, which was to create a function to reach to how the performance can be measured. Okay, all of you understand performance in this case, meaning how the club is doing, is performing, is playing their players and other kinds, and also how they perform with the others. When we were in this endeavor, we reached to the point that it was important also to predict the outcome. What means to predict the outcome means to how many goals will be, how many red cards will be, and predict this in a very, very, very assertive and accuracy manner, which means we reach to 72% of accuracy. And this is the residual of the, at the end of the day, for you to have a picture, we raised money for the residual, but we didn't raise money for the object. Okay, because the residual was more interesting for most of the which was hardware. And then search something which is called Betty. I'm not bringing Betty here, but Betty is a product we have which predicts the outcomes. Okay. Meaning, what was the mission? Mission was we are all settle our view on exchanges that we were studying here, the traditional exchanges, but nothing is related to the performance of a football club. And more than that, if the football club wants to raise money, they do an IPO or they do a STO if in certain conditions and geographies is possible. Yes, we will talk about this today. But otherwise, they cannot do it. And more than that, the financial conditions of the club is not necessarily their performance, and we need to complement. That was the gap. The products was derivatives and also perpetual. What is perpetual? Perpetual is an issue of an asset that has a duration. Most of the duration is very large, and you can transact to each other and also give to your like a stock at the end of the day. Derivatives is quite clear. It was the derivatives that we want to underline. The underlying is the performance to be traded, like the weather, equal. Okay. And what was the intellectual property was everything which is related to how we create, which the models we create on machine learning and algorithmic in order to predict the outcome. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to get in. The only, we have two challenges here. And I want to share with you two challenges. And we have already two challenges. One challenge was regulation, because we wanted to be regulated, not regulated. And because we were stupid. Okay. If we started 4 years ago, we were rich today. We want to be regulated, we are poor. Okay. You know, we knock on the door on the US SEC, we knock on the door on Luxembourg, we knock on the door in Netherlands, France, and UK. And it was quite difficult because nobody was understanding that we want to create an index of an underlying asset which is equal as weather, but is so intangible that nobody understood. Even we were showing some of this. But first, the second was, how are we going to measure the performance when there are not games? Because there are moments which are not playing, or they are during the season which the football is not happening. They are on vacations. I don't know. I don't understand anything about football, but I'm good on that. And which means in the end of the day, this was a problem, and we somehow solved the problem by creating, by gathering some synthetic data we could create a trend of that product. Okay. But what I want to bring is here. This is what I want. To put this in, to move forward with this project, we needed to show to everyone that we were approaching how this works. And for how this works, we need to create a market. And to create a market, we need to do from A to Z everything which is related to the technology of an exchange. And what we did was using Corda. Corda is a blockchain, is a DLT more precisely, is a private one, not a public one. That what we use is Corda, mostly because Corda is one of the entities which born on a regulated market with an approach objective for a regulated financial market. That's why we use Corda, because everything that Corda does was already validated by the regulators. That's why. And this is, okay, the big picture. But let me give you the picture, which I believe that is the one that we have to put here. We have to, okay, let me try to explain you what is Oracle. Anish talked about Oracle yesterday.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what is Oracle?
Who
Who doesn't know? Who doesn't know it? Okay. Oracle is when you need to bring outside information of the blockchain to inject or to trigger information to be triggered on this solution or other kind of solution in a simplified way. Okay, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Please.
I can give an example how we use Oracle. Basically, when we were doing NFTs and we wanted to do dynamic NFTs, we were collecting plastics. So let's say we created an NFT based on 10 tons. When it becomes 20, it's connected to the real world, and that NFT changes. So it gets a new image or a new movement. And that's the way we were using it.
In this case, how it works. For this we inject, we are coming from Opta, Sports Radar, meaning data providers. Data providers in real time. Okay? Which we are gathering with other data that we already have, which are not in real time. Part of the data could be synthetic, meaning data which is not real, but it comes to be. And we inject this data, okay? Or inject some results of this data. And we inject the result of this data to calculate the index, meaning the SP 500, okay? What is the amount of SP 500? Also the pricing rules. Why? Because this could be so volatile that we create thresholds or boundaries on this, on the way this can be so volatile, because you can have a lot of volatility. You don't want to have a lot of volatility. We define the price rules, which are more than defined, they are exposed to everyone. Okay. In this side, what we have is the product, meaning in that case we have the index, calculation of the index, the validation of the index, and the price rules. Index price. Okay, for example, let me give you an example. We can have Aston Villa, Manchester United. We can have an index for each of them, or we can have an index of the Premier League thing. Okay. Real data from outside.
Data from outside in order
Data providers. Yeah.
to calculate the index.
Yeah.
And you said to me and you said to us that in order to calculate the index, there are a huge process. In order to
on price rules.
Okay. These price rules is known by the counterparts.
Yeah. Clear,
It's very clear. They
very clear.
can emulate the calculation itself.
Exactly. They can do reverse engineering. Okay. Clear? Okay, in this side, what we have is we have the derivative and we have the management of the margins here. What we are doing here, then we have the exchange, simple, meaning buy and selling derivatives, buying and selling ETFs, which are related to the index. Once again, index of Premier League follows the performance of Premier League. Okay, to be tradable, I create a ETF, exchange trade fund, which follows this index, and this tradable. Okay, simple. And this tradable here. Also, if you saw previously, I can have connections with other exchange, meaning I can list ETF in the other exchange. Okay. And here what we have is this wallet management is mine as customer. We are not keeping the custodian of their wallet and of their credentials. And more than that, what we are using is Corda for everything, including automate everything which is clearing and settlement. To be clear, when we transact asset, ETF, there's needed to be a clearing, meaning it's in conditions to be transacted between, there's no owners, there's no anything which is pending for this transaction, and then to settle the transaction, meaning to sell effectively the asset. That's why we're automating without having kind of entities, third parties, which today in the stock market are paid to do the clearing and settlement. I can do it automatically. Okay? I see that you are tired.
The Oracle is also.
Now, the Oracle is the engine to receive the data.
We don't need them either is in the middle of the process in order to give us trust.
Perfect.
Just put them there because you don't trust each other and have a technology to support that trust.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is that
Okay. I brought this only for you to understand there's a different kind of blockchains first. You can do some automation on the process because automation is important here based on what you said also. And and because I'm proud to present this.
Study the clearing and settlement. In principle, as far as I know about the clearing process, achieve the in terms of efficiency when we have a lot of counterparts with the clearing with two contracts. In this case,
No, because you are using a smart contract. Clear and
it's a
simple.
peer-to-peer. In terms of risk, it's preferred to have less risk with it's a portfolio theory. When I have several counterparts and I manage these each from each contract individual, I can reduce the level of risk using portfolio theory.
Correct.
Okay. In this case, we are making the clearing and settlement peer-to-peer. So in terms of risk, I know the system guarantees that there is no risk, but the clearing costs will be increasing.
No, I don't see that way. But I can explain you. Okay, not on
Sorry.
to be clear on that, but I don't see that.
So well. You understand this.
But it's a
My neighbors too, they didn't either.
okay, but it's the same thing as I don't want to complicate. It's the same thing as have you ever traded in the stock exchange? You bought a stock and you sold the stock.
Go past the balls.
Clear. And that stock is representing that company, right?
Okay.
This stock here is representing how players are performing in the match. If they're performing well, they're performing badly, if they're compared with others. And this represents an amount, an initial amount, when you issue that stock. Then the buying and selling, it will deploy the amount which somebody is willing to buy and other is willing to sell. Okay? The normal thing. This is the same. The only difference here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Affecting.
This was my mistake here.
You see.
I can explain it, but after, you know. But it's like rating, yeah.
But the index is based on the club, or the index is the club mixed with the players.
No, the index could be various things. We test various. Could be
Okay.
one club,
Okay.
could be one league,
Okay.
and league could be to reach to a player. But the player we're not doing
Yeah,
because
that's
the player
what
you don't have enough robust
Okay.
way to
And it's
to
in
do it.
real time.
it's in real time.
Ah. Now I understand how to
In
trade.
real time.
Now I understand the trade. So,
Period, that they are not playing, not doing anything, how they, does it? work?
Yeah, what yeah, this is what we test because this is not online, not in production. What we test on the test we did was to we were feeding some not pre-trained, but based on the past data, we were giving some insights, and not insights to how people should perform or should behave, because we cannot do it. We were doing it from other entity, but to give the analytics necessary for them to have the good picture about that level, about that league, while we are not having games.
So you're using
Which
AI.
means people were still transacting.
So you are using AI in this for making.
Yeah,
all of it.
yeah.
So
everything,
according to the
yeah.
historical data, you are presenting
Machine learning.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a question. Having said that what I said before. And once we are trying to introduce new technology, there are many resistance in the market. And you said that stock exchange didn't understand properly the business. And my question is,
They don't understand underlying,
the underline, yeah, but we're, we
which
are in a
most of you probably not. So
yeah, but in this, in a way that you are trying to introduce a solution that can remove intermediaries.
mhm.
Don't you think that is the moment for us to try to remove them before they accept this can be a good solution? It's just a political
No,
way
this
to remove
is,
them.
yeah, this was our wrong move in the beginning because we wanted to be regulated. We wanted to be very fair, and we didn't do our ICO, which we had the deck. We didn't do our STO because it was soon to do the STO, and in the end of the day, we were stupid. This is my view, okay, my personal view.
I think what the public blockchain space allows is for all kinds of models and experiments to be taken and let the market test it, because then when something succeeds, then you go to the regulator can also see its adoption and take a decision. But if that's the problem with over-regulation, if we want everything first, some regulator, some bureaucrat to decide on.
The bias. So Miguel coming from financial, and we wanted to be fair to everything.
So.
Because in the beginning, when we have this, if we did the initial coin offering, because it was quite simple to do it, bro, you will reach today. Yeah.
That what is the problem and what is the solution in a very simple.
Okay, clear. The problem is that most of the clubs, they don't have alternative ways of financing, and people are still entering in a market which is a betting market, which is unfair market. And we want to create ways to have a fair market for trading performance on the sports. This is clear. The solution is to transform the performance, meaning create another kind of evaluated club or a group of clubs, not only for their financial status or financial condition, but also how they play and how they could play, meaning performance, and create an asset for them. Based on this is the proof there's an underlying asset, I can do a lot of kind of financial instruments. And these kind of financial instruments are very good for the side of the clubs, which they can fund themselves, have more money because they need, and mostly the small clubs. And at the same time, I can put my expertise on football because everybody is expert in football, as we know. If they are not, if they are not like me, but they are, then they are expert on football and they use betting. And betting is unfair, which they, with their expertise and with the data that we can provide as a Bloomberg for sports, we can
So
give
that's
the
how
opportunity.
you're achieving financial
My revenue,
stability.
my
Yeah.
revenue,
Yeah.
it's simple. It's a fee per net transaction.
How do I assure the integrity of
Hmm?
the integrity of the funds? How I
The
assure-
integrity is done here on the engine.
Because that's the basis, like, if I change the value of something there, I can change everything.
Yeah, but this is what we already do. I have
We
to
need to
move.
move first.
And one last thing that you can also use an alternative solution for this financial stability that using NFTs, right? That's what you were saying.
No, there are situations today that the clubs can be funded by using NFTs of the players. We will not move into that fast. Okay, let's go. Okay, here I will be very brief because we already discussed a lot of things. What I wanted to, this is coming from what I'm doing in my thesis, and these are the pains. And one of the pains that we have here is when you visit to a doctor, you visit to another doctor, even if you visit your doctor. I don't know if some of the doctors already told you that. I'm looking to the screen, I'm trying to understand your profile. I think there's a lot of information here, and I have to split for. Yeah, and when you have years of history in that hospital, it's quite difficult. And we are talking about a place where we have our data. Imagine places that we have our data spread it for different places, different hospitals, different people hospitals. Okay, which means I feel like my constantly trying to put it together first. My health, my person. The other one is regarding to the burden of duplicate medical exams. You know, and this happens to me 2 weeks ago. I was ill. I was to a hospital which I'm not going frequently. I need to make a That's right, yeah. And then once that's good, and the next time I want to poop in the other place, which I have all my data, and I have to do a scan for entire body. And they need, why I need a scan? Because they do not have data from the other hospital. I have to do duplicated. I believe that most of us will have these things. Why? Because they don't have our data. And we don't have our data in one single place. Okay. And the other one is related to identity. And when you need to join all the data around you as an individual, most of the time they don't have the data connected to your identity, which means you have a mismatch problem. And this is one of the problems that technology is trying to solve with algorithmic, with machine learning, try to understand patterns, to understand how to collate this information to one person, because in one hospital I can be Ricardo, in the other hospital can be another thing. And for the past, really the past, we have even more. And in Portugal is quite good. Okay, if you go to US, it's awful. Okay. And and another thing that we can see here is that You go to a doctor, and the doctor said to you, okay, it's important for you to measure your blood pressure and give me the feedback. How you are sending the feedback to the doctor? In a paper, in an Excel file? How you do it? You don't. Okay, but I have here this. But this works, but doesn't work. Because I cannot connect this with anything. You know, I have a great doctor because I can go to my doctor and I'm showing her, okay, this is my fitness, this is my levels, and she's looking like I'm doing with my cat, for example. My cat has only 1 minute, my cat has a problem. She was almost dying. And then she has cancer in the intestines, things like that. But she's surviving. But I have to, each time she's doing poo-poo, I have to take a picture. And I'm doing a picture every day. Me and my wife and my daughter. And we have a common group here to put the poo-poo. And then when we go to the bed, we are showing the poo. Because it's the only way I have. Okay? The same thing. Okay? Go. The poo-poo.
It's more the acceptance of the data, because that's the main issue. Even when Nathan watched the ACG function, it's not that accepted.
Yeah, but you can connect. Yeah, okay, but you can connect with the medical device that you can have at your home.
Oh, no,
You can connect it here.
definitely. I was just thinking, or just wondering, actually, what would it take for most of these institutions or doctors to start accepting?
But they won't. You know, I was when I was ill,
Uh,
I was talking with the doctor in the urgencies,
Uh.
and I was saying, okay, you know, he was feeding gap about the data I have there. And I was saying, you know, I'm doing a thesis on that. Really? You know, he was saying, my girlfriend works in a hospital, I don't know. She's using 6 applications. One for notes, one for MRI, one for this, one for that one. And she has to split and copy paste from one application to another application because we don't have a telephone. They won't.
So what's stopping? Just regulation?
Now me to finish the thesis.
Oh.
Okay. I need to give you an overview. Okay. There's a lot of steps. These are the first version. Probably the second version will be completely different. But in the end of the day, what I wanted to show is that once again, self-sovereign identity, digital identity is key. Okay, storage is key, and where is storage? Right? Is storage on a centralized, storage on a decentralized, is storage on our wallet? Where is storage? Because we have questions of that of capacity here, because there's a lot of data, okay, and in different kind of formats. Then we have everything which is related with standards and with formats, which brings or jeopardizes interoperability between systems and data. And then we have, after this, we have everything which is public, meaning what we can do on this infrastructure. Let me give an example. All of us, if we have our data, if we have access to all of our data, it's very good. Okay, everybody's happy. Yeah, you can. Everybody's happy. I'm sharing those presentation. But the question is, do you understand? No. Probably most of us, we don't understand the data we have on our medical data. I believe one of the first things that we need to put our entrepreneurs to do with SMEs, meaning subject matter experts, is to bring value to that data, create value. Meaning put a GPT on that, okay, and ask questions. For example, imagine that my mother has a condition, okay, and we are doing a lunch at her home. And the condition is related to certain kind of things that she cannot eat and other kinds. And even, I don't know, because I'm not with her so frequently. It was very good if she was giving me the ability for me to ask questions to her doctor. How she is from the last 3 months. There's any condition that we have to pay attention when we are doing our lunch? Okay. This is what I'm trying to do. Thanks. Let's, we have here additional information if you want to get deep on there. And you know, this was to be.
Again.
Thank
You. Okay, so I think. So I think we don't need a coffee break now because we just had lunch, right? Yes. Yeah, we can get one first. So I see that you're all very tired, so do you want or theoretical class or do you want the more practical? Just because this class that I have is on regulations, so it's something a bit boring, but I will try to make it very fun, as fun as I can. But I just wanted to show you that I have airdropped this NFT to your wallet. So if you want, you cannot see it yet, so I can show you, and then we can do the boring parts. Do you want this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So do you, Matt? You are all already on Gorley testnet. Here now I can already show you for those of you that were not able to see Gorley before, it's because you have to put on show test networks. So the NFT is in the Gorley network, and have to open this link that I will send you to our class number 9. Have to open.
Did you just open all the wallets?
I did. The people that gave me today.
Inish, can you put Zoom and share screen?
So even the people today, like I sent you first. You cannot see it yet, but what I'm going to show you. Let me just.
Can I put on?
Hello, Qatar. Okay, so for the ones that sent me the wallets, okay. So I'm going to show you how I created this NFT. So I went to this platform. So I'm going to share the whole screen. Okay, so how did I create this NFT? So obviously I didn't have time to code the whole NFT collection, right? So I searched on the internet on how to create an NFT collection. And I went on this platform called HeyMint. And I minted an NFT. I called it NCT, which is like NFT plus Nova FCT. I put this image that we took, this picture that we took at lunch, and I created 25 NFTs. They're not really NFTs because the picture is the same, but I mean, you get the idea, right? And then I came here for the airdrop. Oh, I deployed it to a test net, meaning that I'm just using, just like on Claros, we were using Gorley. I was also using Gorley, so it was actually good because you already have your MetaMask on that. And then for airdrop, I just come here. I put the wallet. This one is the wallet of Adamario. I put 1 because I'm only sending 1. I'm doing send. Then MetaMask is asking me if I want to confirm, just like you did on Claros today. I put confirm. I'm spending a little bit of testnet money. It's initiating the gift. So it takes just a few. I can. Okay. So it's doing the transaction, and then I will get a confirmation. I click here, and you can see that I sent, this is my own wallet to this one. This is the Haymint wallet. So it has their own contract that is doing this transaction for me. And I spent, well, this amount of test ETH to send it. It's like the gas fee. And now for you to check, you just need to open this link that I sent, which is testnet OpenSea. OpenSea is an NFT marketplace. But this one, I sent it to the Telegram. It's on class 9 regulation testnet.opensea.io. So you just need to open it. I'm going to reproduce it here. You just need to open, and then you go on login with the wallet. You log in with your MetaMask, and it should show up automatically. If you have questions, I can go to your computers.
I just see that it's already did by itself.
You just need to connect MetaMask to this website, put it on the Goerli testnet, and then go on your profile, which is here, this first one that I'm showing, and the NFT will show up here. And you have your own testnet NFT that I created.
No, it's not. Yeah, but I have to log in the same browser.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Okay, so I think you will be able to figure it out.
Now I can also see the other one.
Yeah, you need, it needs to be the browser. It needs to be the browser that has MetaMask on. Okay. So this was the fun part. Now it's the kind of boring part. Okay. And even me as a lawyer, I don't really appreciate this part so much, but I'm going to talk very fast because this was supposed to be for 3 hours, but I will skip some parts. Okay. Just going to take this away. I think you can see, okay. So I'm going to talk about the overall regulatory landscape. So I will speak about the global regulatory overview. This part is very fast. I will speak about the main jurisdictions. So USA, obviously the European Union, and then some others if I have time. If not, I will skip them. Then Portugal, because we are either here Portuguese or we live in Portugal. So I think it's important to understand what are the current legislation on crypto in Portugal. Thank you, Anish. And then I'm going to speak about crypto funding, and I have a little like danger sign in there, because whenever I do these presentations, I always say, this is not financial advice, okay? So invest at your own risk. I'm not licensed by CMVM. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a lawyer. I'm registered as a lawyer. I'm not a financial advisor. So this is a disclaimer. So you know, I do this every day in my work. It's always like the clients come and I say, oh, but this is not financial advice. You can invest here, but this is not financial advice. Okay. So as you know, the global regulatory focus on digital assets has increased dramatically over the years. So a few years ago, we had like no regulation whatsoever, right? And one thing that we know is that technology always advances faster than regulation does. So in the last few years, and even in the last few months, we've had tons of new regulation coming out because it's the legislators and the regulators trying to catch up with the technology that has already been developed since 2008, since the Bitcoin white paper. And we've also seen some very high profile failures of crypto exchanges like FTX and Terra Luna and many others, especially in the US,
So obviously there's been a much bigger focus on regulating. So how is crypto how is crypto regulated in the world? Do you have something to point?
You can continue.
Okay, so I found out this map. This was the most updated map that I found. So as you can see, the green ones, the green countries are where crypto is allowed. So it can be allowed, but also, well, normally if it's allowed, it means there's at least some regulation.
We are talking of the green.
Yeah, I'm going to point so that it's easier. Maybe it doesn't work. Okay, it's okay. I was pointing my finger. It's okay. So the yellow countries is where. Okay, so the yellow countries is where it's restricted, so it has some restrictions. Red countries is where it's completely prohibited, and as you see, there are some very relevant countries where crypto is prohibited. And then white countries is where regulation is pending, so it might be allowed, it might be restricted. And actually, this is a very interesting graphic about the crypto adoption. And as you can see, the low income countries in the world, which is, I have here, 40% of the world's population live in low to medium income, which is the LMI. It's the yellow line that you see. It's where crypto adoption has actually grown the most. So countries like Vietnam, for example, which is not like very low income, but it's not also very high and developed income. So this is super interesting, and there are many companies that are trying to expand to these countries because that's where people are most likely to adopt crypto, and not really here in Europe or in the USA or in Canada. So I had this, we don't have time for this, but this was a question asking how is crypto regulated in your country? So, I mean, we will have to skip this.
The question in Telegram.
I cannot, yeah, I can also do that. Okay, so main jurisdictions. So on the USA, crypto, pretty much everything financially related can be regulated at a state level or at a federal level. So currently, there's no comprehensive regulatory framework for crypto in the USA. There's lots of discussions of who should regulate this. I'm sure all of you have heard about SEC, Security Exchanges Commission. But on March 2022, the Biden administration released an executive order that had like this framework for regulating crypto for the whole USA, so at a federal level. I don't think from March 2022 to now, something major has happened. So no new laws or no new regulation, right? No new legislation has come out in the USA, but I still think that the US is a very important jurisdiction. We have lots of companies that are based in there, and where Europe is still a lot more advanced in the regulatory framework, as we will see in a bit. But I still think it's very important to know what is happening in the US in regulatory terms. And also some countries will end up copying what the USA is doing, just like many countries, I believe, will inspire themselves on MiCA, on the market in crypto regulations that has already come out in the European Union, to make their own laws. So it's very important to be aware of the current regulation in the USA. So does anyone know who this guy is?
He's the chairman of the SEC.
Exactly. Okay, so his name is Gary Gensler.
And he used to teach a class on crypto.
I know. I'm going to speak about that. So I knew about this guy when I first entered my law firm in 2020. I was a baby lawyer, baby trainee lawyer. I had more time than I have now. So I was searching for online courses, and I found out about one called Blockchain and Money from MIT, where this guy was a professor. And I listened to all the classes. It's like 20 something classes. I have a summary of all the classes that I did, like 70 pages. I found his view on crypto was really interesting because he kept like saying, "Oh, crypto is the future." He had lots of knowledge on the traditional finance part. Crypto is the future. The Bitcoin, and he generally tried to understand the ecosystem. At least that's what I thought at the time. And then in 2021, beginning of 2022, he was nominated as the chairman of the Security Exchanges Commission in the USA. And I thought, oh, this is the guy that I listened to the classes. This is going to be really cool because he really has like a forward vision, but still has all the knowledge and the experience from traditional finance. Well, as you can see, I put here various news articles and news titles about his possible resignation. It still hasn't happened. He's still the chairman, but people working in crypto are furious about how the Security Exchanges Commission is handling crypto. Obviously, he's just the face of the Security Exchanges Commission, but people are going crazy for the current policies and for the investigations that the Security Exchange Commission is currently doing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Let me just check the time. Okay, so as I told you, in the US, the regulation can be at the state level or at the federal level. So this means that you have multiple regulatory entities. These are just some of the few that I found out, but most of them have some view on what crypto is, if it's an asset, if it's not an asset, if it's a commodity. So it's
Bitcoin is a commodity.
Yeah, Bitcoin has never been investigated by the Security Exchange Commission. I have a list I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
Okay, so main takeaways from the US. I'm going to skip this. So since there's no comprehensive regulatory framework, crypto assets can be qualified as a payment instrument in the US. It can be a commodity, it can be a security, or it can be the three things at the same time. So it's extremely confusing currently in the US, and that's why many companies are actually moving to Europe, because there's a lot more regulatory clarity in Europe than there is in the US, and there is a bit of how do I say, prescrição, like the Security Exchanges Commission is going after crypto companies very aggressively. Okay, this is how I can take it, but and then it really depends. Exactly, it's exactly, it's like a witch hunt of crypto companies, and many of them are giving up in the US and moving here, which is good for people like me because I get more clients. So in terms of, for example, registration and licensing of digital assets, from some states have like very relaxed rules. So for example, in California, you can go there, you can open a crypto firm however you want. In Texas, for example, I think, or in some other one, have it here. Yeah, Montana doesn't even regulate crypto payments, but then in others, it's very, very hard to get a license. So that's why most digital asset firms in the US are just in like some very specific states. And then how does the Security Exchanges Commission and how do the courts in the US look at crypto? It's through a test, which is called a Howey test, which was conceived in 1946. Okay, so 1946, I don't even know, we didn't even have internet. So, I mean, it's crazy that they keep using a test that's completely antiquated and does not relate at all to crypto and to digital assets. But so based on this test, and you can see here, it has like 4 main criteria, which is to be considered for an investment to be qualified as a security. It has to be an investment of money in a common enterprise with an expectation of profit that has to be derived from the efforts of third parties. So this based on this test, the Security Exchanges Commission, meaning that guy that you saw in the picture, they found out that 19 tokens that were traded in Coinbase and in Binance were indeed securities. And I have a list here.
Does it have to be all four or?
All four. So the Security Exchange Commission qualified all of this crypto, and you can see here there are some very known ones: Algorand, Axie Infinity, Solana, Binance Coin, Luna, Nexo, so near Chiliz, which I told you about when I talked about pen tokens. All of these have been identified as securities, meaning that none of these companies behind this crypto are registered as companies that can launch securities. So they are violating several state and federal rules. So what did the Security Exchanges Commission do? My opinion, they are not so wrong. Sorry? They are not so wrong. I'm not saying if they're wrong or not, but it's a big list with very relevant crypto. Yeah, if we're talking about Bitcoin, it's completely different. But Bitcoin is not here. There's no incentive. Ethereum is also not here. Ethereum is also not here.
In my opinion, the issue is not that whether they are securities or not. The problem is that today in registering a security is very onerous, very difficult, very complex. And for a startup, it's very difficult to do it. And I think that is the real problem that needs to be addressed. Some new regulations should be simplified. That's all.
Yeah, but what did the Security Exchanges Commission do? They sued Binance and Coinbase because they were trading securities that were not registered. So I mean, this is a major thing. Okay.
Because at the end of the day, they were collecting money to develop their projects. Like I was investing them. It's the same. Because in the end of the day, it's a security. It's not a pro bono. It's not an utility, meaning they are building a bike or bicycle, and then they will give me the bicycle for the money that I put there. It's not the case, because in the end of the day, it's like other companies that has to have the funds to develop their activities. They need the money, and they issue the token.
Well, Bitcoin
is the only one which is not.
And Ethereum has also.
No, there are situations which is not exactly like that. There are situations like the bike, which is more kind of an utility in that case. But most of them is to fund the company, to fund the project, fund the project security. Clear? Yeah.
Yes, but you can see you can imagine the implications that this has in the crypto ecosystem if all of these coins, and these are just a few that Binance and Coinbase are trading. So I mean, in the end, maybe imagine that Binance stops offering like all of this. For example, Algorand goes away from Binance or from Coinbase. Okay, so it can have major implications. Okay, so going away from the US, we are all here in Europe, right now. So how are things in Europe currently? So this is the regulation timeline that I did. So I started here in 2020. Europe announced the digital agenda for Europe. This was a long time ago. It probably didn't even contemplate blockchain yet. Then in 2015, we started with the Digital Single Market Initiative, just like we have one coin, borders open. We should also have like a digital market that has the same rules and where platforms can all operate with the same requirements. Then starting in 2020, and I don't know what it is here. There was another initiative called the Digital Strategy for Europe. Then in 2021, orientations for the digital package. Then the Digital Europe program. So all these very abstract names, but that I don't have time to explain all of them. And then in 2022, European Declaration about the Rights and Digital Principles, also related to the digital decade. And then finally in 2022, we have the Digital Decade 2030. So until 2030, the European Union wants to work on these 4 pillars. So first one is skills. They want to have 80% of the European Union population with basic digital skills. This can include knowing about Web3, knowing about AI, knowing about big data. Then in terms of business, they want to have 75% of EU companies using all of these technologies, AI, blockchain, whatever. Then in terms of government and infrastructures, they want to have all the essential public services in a digital way. So, I mean, it's a very ambitious process until 2030 to have all the European countries using all of these technologies, but I think it can be done. So then also in 2020, we had the digital finance package, and we are already like getting closer and closer to like blockchain regulation. There were 4 priorities, which were also like very, I have it here very broad and general, but it's just addressing all the challenges that the European Union is facing. Pretty much this is all to say that the European Union wants these rules for digital and technological platforms to be the same in all European Union countries, and obviously blockchain companies will enter that that concept also. And then in 2023, in February, the European Union created the European Blockchain Regulatory Sandbox. And I think Florella is always mentioning the EBSI, which is the European Blockchain Services Infrastructure. So the Blockchain Regulatory Sandbox is a different thing, but it targets corporate solutions and public sector projects that want to use DLTs, the centralized ledger technology applications, and the ones that are using EBSI, which is this infrastructure for blockchain projects that the European Union has created, they have priority over other projects. Okay, so this is very interesting. It means that the European Union is trying to give a space for the companies to come out and try blockchain and to apply for this public funding regulatory sandboxes. And now we arrive to MiCA. So who here has not heard about MiCA?
Everyone has heard.
No, who has not heard? You have not heard about MiCA? Do you live under a rock? No. Okay, so MiCA is the most, currently in the world, it's the most comprehensive regulatory framework on crypto. But, sorry?
Sorry, what?
It's the most comprehensive regulatory framework on crypto assets in the world, okay? And it's also the first regulation that is cross-jurisdictional, meaning that it will apply in Portugal, in Spain, in France, in Italy, in Germany, so in all of the countries of the European Union, and also in like Benelux and well, Switzerland, not really. Okay, so it was published already in 2023, but most of its provisions will only enter into force in 2024.
Yes. In the UK, one piece of regulation regarding these assets, and we're starting 8th of this month.
The UK is no longer in the European Union, so MiCA will not apply.
Yeah.
So that's why they have their own. Yeah.
I think that was FCA. I think there might be something quite similar.
I mean, they probably had some inspiration on MiCA. I'm not familiar with the UK regulations at the moment, but yes, it probably is quite similar. Yeah, this one was already published, but most of its provisions only enter into force next year. But that means that companies already need to be prepared. So, what are the key objectives of MiCA? It's to protect investors, because as we all know, unfortunately, the crypto ecosystem is still riddled with many scams. to ensure legal clarity and also to provide market integrity, meaning that a company that is operating in the Netherlands is operating under the same rules in Portugal regarding crypto assets. So, what is the scope? Even though I said that it's the most comprehensive regulatory framework currently in the world, there's tons of things that it doesn't cover. So what does it cover? Then also MiCA has very weird concepts or very weird definitions. I wrote a chapter for a book that will come out next month on MiCA in Portuguese. And some of the chapters were just on like the definitions of MiCA, because we all know about crypto assets, digital assets, tokens, but MiCA decided to get new names for all of these. So they have asset reference tokens, or ARTs, which is a cute name, but it doesn't really mean anything. We have electronic money tokens, which are EMTs. And then we have other crypto assets, okay, which includes, in theory, utility tokens. So asset reference tokens, you can kind of see by the name, but these ARTs are tokens that are aiming to maintain a stable value by referencing one or several assets. So they are a token that underlying has, for example, commodity like gold, or like a stock, or other crypto assets, or fiat. So yes, it can be stable coins, or it can be other types of tokens that have something behind them that is giving them that value. Then we have EMTs, which is what you could kind of consider as the crypto assets part, not really the tokens, because they are used to, they are supposed to be what we normally call payment tokens. And if you remember from my last class, what were the payment tokens? Were tokens that you could use to pay for goods and services. And then other crypto assets, which is a broad category, but it unfortunately includes utility tokens, which means that most of the crypto projects that exist nowadays will fall under MiCA. And I don't think they are ready to hear this. So then it also covers significant tokens and stablecoins, and it has a definition of significant. I actually didn't write it here, but it's something like if it has X million users. And then it also covers algorithm crypto assets and algorithm stablecoins. And this is, I believe, partly because of the Terra Luna collapse. It was an algorithm stablecoin. And actually, the story behind MiCA was that, I don't know if some of you remember, but Facebook wanted to create its own crypto called Libra. That's when the legislators in the European Union started thinking, oh no, we have to regulate this, because Facebook, one of our biggest enemies, is going to have their own money, which will rival with digital euro. Okay, so this is all connected. This is where the idea from MiCA came. Then Facebook eventually dropped that idea of creating Libra, so Libra is already a cancelled project. But I think, this is just my opinion, that the European Union was scared of this, and they thought, okay, we need to regulate it. So that's why there's such a big focus on stable coins for MiCA. So what is out of scope of MiCA? Any token that is defined as a financial instrument under MiFID or MiFIR, which are other regulations that are on like financial instruments and like derivatives and all of that. So that is not regulated by MiCA. MiFID II is currently undergoing, I was going to say undergoing regulations, but the European Union is going to change some of its provisions to also specifically include crypto assets. So these tokens are not currently regulated at the European Union level, but they will be also quite soon. Other digital assets that cannot be transferred, that are offered.
Mediscore.
Yes.
I believe that we don't need to wait for MiFID II to regulate securities, because in the end of the day, they are securities at the beginning.
Yes,
And
because
the-
each
and-
country already has their own definition.
Then you have the regulation landscape already prepared for that. No?
I mean, if a token already qualifies as a security, you already have regulation, for example, in Portugal.
You have the regulation in place.
Yes, but there's no European Union wide regulation so on security.
Yeah, it's not,
tokens.
it's not having the name there, which is crypto asset as a security. That's the case.
Yes, yes, in the law, there's like no reference specifically to crypto assets. It's not, but if you read it and you say, oh, crypto asset is defined as a security under this,
It's a financial-
the laws apply. Yeah.
instruments, which kind of financial instruments is?
Regulations for securities were designed
For other types of instruments, yes, they were not.
they were
I
not
mean, for
designed
example, you
for
saw,
growth.
right, 1946, how we test, it was not designed
Ex-
for
Exactly, that's the
for
problem.
Bitcoin or for.
But the problem is not whether they are securities or not. Clearly they are, but the problem is we need some new global system that because these securities will be global in nature, they'll be traded everywhere. They'll be traded on non-KYC wallets. So we need some kind of a regulation that's lighter for at least startups. And that's the
I just sent
Yeah.
you something on Telegram.
But they will not be.
This is actually kind of funny, you probably know it. It's when Gary was asked about Pokemon cards and his answer is that.
Gary
But
Gensler
Pokemon- yeah, but
confirms
Pokemon
that
card be a security
the
or not?
purchase of a Pokemon
If
card
somebody
does not
shows, like,
constitute.
that clip from
Yeah.
Twitter,
I'm gonna
it really
search
shows how ambiguous it is.
the
what
concept
they
of
consider
security.
or not a
Yes,
security. Like,
Yes.
can a Pokemon card be a security? Well,
yes,
yeah,
this had lots of
I don't know.
memes. Okay, so this is what Pedro sent me. I'm going to try and play the video.
You know, when I was young, I was playing with my collections of football and things like that, and we were getting money.
Yeah, but I mean, if it falls under the Howey test and it has those 4 requirements, it is a security.
And it was peer to peer.
Today,
In person, but in person.
Today we consider that everything should be KYC and everything should be known, but stock certificates were a couple of decades ago, you didn't have KYC or anything. It was just pieces of paper anyone was buying and selling and who felt the paper had it.
They were nominative. Without name.
And the world was still functioning.
Exactly. Exactly, right.
There is another
Good point.
relevant issue that I want to comment. Regarding the importance of being financial instrument or not. And the regulatory perspective that I have some experience is to provide some transparency to the market. How the asset is valued, how the dynamic between the offer, the demand, put a valorization on these assets and the work presented by the regulator is to bring some confidence of the market. If
Yes, of course,
the
because
value of the
right now
assets
you look
corresponds
at,
effectively
yeah,
to
you look at Bitcoin and I mean, one day is at 60K, one day is at 20K.
yes,
So yes, the regulator is trying to do many things, but one of them is to give some confidence back to the market.
also on the regulatory sector and one of the worry that I have to doing my job is to avoid the non-desired volatility in order to bring more or less certain
Trust
stability
and
to the
confidence.
market. Of course, that volatility brings also opportunity to new
To make
parents
money.
to make and to correct dynamic in the future of the market with participation of new market players and bring also competition. But it is a tricky question.
Yes, because crypto is known for its volatility,
Yeah.
except stable coins. Okay, so what does MiCA does not cover also? It does not cover CBDCs, it does not cover NFTs, and it does not cover DeFi protocols. So these are very relevant parts of Web3 that are out of MiCA, okay? And then lending, it's debatable. Okay, I'm not going to enter into this discussion, but it's very debatable. So the types of services that are regulated by MiCA, that's crypto asset firms, crypto asset companies that do any one of these services, that offer any of these services like custody. So any custodial wallet has to register under MiCA. Placing of crypto assets in the market. So any exchange has to register under MiCA. Exchange of crypto assets for funds. Exchange of crypto assets for other crypto assets. So what exchanges do. Reception and transmission of orders for crypto assets on behalf of third parties. Providing transfer services for crypto assets. So pretty much lots of companies that are not regulated will soon be, they have to soon comply with MiCA. Yes.
In order to enter on each activity, they need somehow a regulated license.
So I'm going to explain that in a bit of a slide, but it's the same license. So you don't need a license for this, for this. What MiCA will be beneficial for companies is that before, and I think I already explained this to some of you on another class, but for example, Binance was trying to pursue a license in the Netherlands, in Germany, in Portugal, in Spain, in Italy. With MiCA, if you are regulated under MiCA on Netherlands, you have a passport license, meaning that you can use that license to then come to the Bank of Portugal and say, oh, hey, look, I'm regulated under MiCA, so I can offer any of these crypto asset services to everyone in the European Union. So it's pretty much, because before, the Bank of Portugal had like its own rules. The Bank of Spain had its own rules. The Bank of Italy had its own rules. Now with MiCA, crypto asset firms can operate freely in the European Union market. So some key compliance obligations for these crypto asset firms. They have, for example, to have a white paper, which in Portuguese, and I know a little bit about this because this was my chapter on the book on MiCA. In Portuguese, it's called not white paper, which is a term that we all know in crypto. It's not called the translation of white paper, which is livro branco. It's actually called livret branco, which for me makes no absolute sense, because livret for us, it's normally a document that you put on your car. And somehow in MiCA, now we are all going, I mean, in my meetings with clients in Portuguese, I'll have to say, oh, do you have a livret branco, which for me makes no sense. Just like a fun piece of info. Then they need, for example, to have a legal entity. So before, many crypto firms did not have a company incorporated. They were completely decentralized. So they just existed on the internet. They were not incorporated in any country. With MiCA, they need to have a company incorporated, which for me as a corporate lawyer, it's good because I'm going to be creating crypto companies every day. Then they need to have, for example, a business plan. They need to inform the regulator on any restrictions that they have on transferability of tokens. So it's just a lot of obligations that crypto assets firms have to comply with that they are probably not expecting. So yeah, I already had this registered office. They need to have custody and segregation of funds rules.
Just a curiosity, because you commented the translation of how you translate to our
You know how crypto asset is called? It's called crypto fiche.
Yeah, but you know,
Crypto fiche. It's not crypto token. It's not crypto asset. It's not active digital, active cryptographic. It's called crypto fiche.
but you know that in CMVM, I worked there, and I remember that we wanted to In the CMVM, they only read in English because the way document, a piece of regulation is translated.
It's
also
awful.
impossible for regulators to use it
It's
in
awful.
order to follow
It's
the
awful.
regulation.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Crypto Fisher, yes.
Normally, Commission, the European Commission, help use the assistance of of each member state in order to translate.
Yes,
or-
I don't know who
Yes.
translated this.
Usually,
It is translated there. Translated there, not in Portugal. Really.
in ERS, I provide assistance in order to translate official translation in Portuguese of European rules about electricity markets and about financial markets. I suppose I could see the Securities Commission of the government or not.
Is it the CMVM that did this?
I know. What I remember is normally it is translated centrally in European Commission. There is someone that makes the translation. Then it comes to CMVM just to check.
Yes,
But then there's a discussion, such a discussion around any word. Then they forget. At the end, we can't understand the regulation in Portuguese, and we read it in English instead of use the Portuguese.
Yes, I mean, I had to read
Russian.
it and Livreto Branco,
No.
Crypto Fisher, Arquivo, Cryptographic.
And it's so stupid that you can
Stop
understand
the Fisher.
I was not able, I had to go to the English version to understand exactly what they meant. Because for me, Crypto Fisher, it's something that you buy at a casino or something. No, it's not a crypto asset. It's not a, it's very
send
good.
emails to the Portuguese Securities Commission. In order to provide.
Once after the discussion around the one word that was supposed to be to translate, and I had to explain there's no word in Portuguese that can make this definition. We need to use it in English.
The
It's
thing is
impossible.
now there is, but I do not feel comfortable in going to a meeting with a client and saying,
Using
do you have crypto fishes in your company? Do you launch that? Do you have you have a Livreto Branco? So it's very weird. Okay, so let's move on from Mika. We don't have much time. There's another regulation that was also approved when Mika was approved that not a lot of people know, but it's even worse. I mean, it has more implications than Mika, and people didn't really realize about this. But it's the recast funds transfer regulation, and there was a huge discussion on this because this would mean that non-custodial wallets would be banned in Europe because they don't have any KYC, they don't comply with the AML rules, so they would just be banned. So, for example, MetaMask would not operate in Europe. So it's crazy, right? I mean, it would kill the crypto ecosystem in Europe. So thankfully, that part was not approved, but this funds transfer regulation, it requires companies to inform on like the traceability of transactions, and they have to provide information to the regulator on suspicious transactions. Yes, but that's why I have here true peer-to-peer transfers also fall outside the scope. But I mean, if they had approved this part of the non-custodial wallets, I don't think we'd have any business of crypto here in the European Union. So yeah. Okay, so who here has heard about the DLT pilot regime?
I know.
So this is another a regime that is already into force. But this is in Portugal, in all of the Union, but it's more of a sandbox. Okay, so this is not something that companies have to comply with. It's a multi-year experiment that the European Union is doing for very, very, very specific types of entities, which are market infrastructures. Think, for example, how do you call it? Yes, but the places where those stocks and bonds are traded. So it's not really for like Binance or Coinbase or these types of companies. It's for example for Euronext, you know. So it's for the place, the market where, for example, Galp has their stocks traded. So for these types of entities that want to experiment with blockchain, they can apply to the DLT pilot regime, and until 2026 or something, they can experiment and they benefit from certain exemptions. So they don't need to comply with certain requirements.
I think it's during 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and it already entered into force. So it's multilateral trading facilities, settlement systems, and trading and settlement systems. Probably some of you that work in banking know these terms a bit better than me. So I will just skip this, but it's
Really, in that process, we are willing to enter.
sorry.
In that process, I show you, we are willing to enter.
If you need legal help, you know who to contact. So in terms of financial instruments, like I said, these types of entities, it's where you can launch your shares, your bonds, or UI. I never know how to say this. UI. Yeah. It's like
And those are
UCITS.
after MiFID II.
Yes, so these are the ones that I talked that are considered financial instruments under MiFID, which is that other regulation, which is bonds, shares, and other things. But it also has some, so not all of these entities can apply. That's why I have here that it has market value thresholds. So I did a study in like in Portugal, I think only Euronext and like another one that could apply for this. So it's a very specific, but it's very good that the European Union is giving this opportunity for these companies. So I'm going to skip this. This was explaining what were these types of entities. And then we have now we will enter, so MiCA, the transfer funds rule, and the DLT pilot regime are the European Union legislation that is like only specific for crypto. Now I will just show you a few that are not specific to crypto asset firms, but will also apply to them. So we have DORA, which is the Digital Operational Resilience Act, and it applies for all the companies on the field of ICT. ICT is information and communication technology. As you can imagine, blockchain, well, it's a technology, kind of falls into that. But it's regarding like security and resilience on the financial sector. So if there is like a cyber attack, these companies have to like communicate under this DORA Act that they were attacked and what measures they took, if they protected the customer's data and all of that. Yeah. So it also ends up applying for.
It also falls under AI Act.
What blockchain companies? I mean, if they use AI, I'm not going to speak about AI. It's not my field.
No.
But I mean,
therefore,
if a blockchain company is using AI,
exactly. But they are different types.
Yes, it is.
And it's I don't know if that one has already been approved or not. No. I know it was being discussed. It's being so. Yeah, AI is not my field. It's not my passion. Okay, and then we have DAC 8. This is related to tax. So it was approved, but it will only enter into force in January 2027. So it's a long time. But it will require crypto asset service providers to report information about their users and give that information to the EU tax authorities. So as you can imagine, this completely changes like all of our topics in the last classes. So if you're trading on Binance can go there and say, oh, Pedro transferred to this person 1 million euros. So as you can imagine, if you're trying to run away from your tax obligations in 2027, the platforms themselves will have to
go to DeFi.
We will see how regulation of DeFi is at that moment. But this is a directive. Okay, this is not a regulation. So meaning that each member state will have to transpose it, meaning that in Portugal it will take a few years. Yes, this one is a directive. MiCA is a regulation.
But the main answer is if you have to do something, you have to do before.
You already have the recast transfer funds rule, which will also enter into force when MiCA also enters into force in 2024. And that will speak specifically about the crypto tax in Portugal, which is already into force. So yeah, maybe you should have already done whatever you had to do before this year. Okay, now I'm going to skip these two just because the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act are not related to crypto. They are related to online platforms. I just put them here because in the future, I think, well, Binance will grow a lot. I mean, if everything goes right, Coinbase will grow a lot and they will eventually be also considered as very big companies, just like Alphabet, the owner of Google, Amazon, Apple, ByteDance, the owner of TikTok, Meta, the owner of Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and Microsoft. So these are what the European Union identified as gatekeepers. This Digital Markets Act is for like antitrust concerns because these are very, very big companies that pretty much don't have competition only amongst themselves. I mean, you don't have another company that is competing with Microsoft, right? But in the future, imagine that Binance is also on this list, for example. That's why I put it here, but they are not specific to crypto assets, and they both entered into force last year, so they're very recent. But it's a way that the European Union is pretty much regulating every single online platform that we use. Okay, so other jurisdictions. I think I will skip this. I had put here 3. I didn't put countries that will eventually be regulated by MiCA because it will all be the same. Portugal and Spain will have the same rules. I put here Luxembourg, which is normally a place where there's lots of financial innovation. It has like very, very sound crypto assets laws. They even have one on like tokenization of real world assets. So, I mean, they're very, very advanced. Then we obviously have Switzerland. You have, for example, Zug. It's a city in Switzerland that is called the birthplace of DLTs, and you have many unicorns. So very big startup. Well, they're not startups anymore. They're called unicorns because they have grown a lot in their market value. So they have like also lots of laws on crypto, and they're also like it's quite so it gives lots of legal clarity, but normally only projects that have lots and lots of money go to Switzerland. And you can even create your company there with like half of the share capital in fiat and half of the share capital in crypto, which is something, for example, in Portugal, it's not possible for you to go to the commercial registry and say, I have this fiat, I have crypto, I want to create a company with crypto. There's other ways then to put crypto into the capital of the company, but in Switzerland, you can already create a company. You just need like 100K to do that. So it's 50K crypto, 50K fiat. But this is very advanced and this has already been allowed for a few years. And then I had here Singapore also. Singapore is also a very advanced country before in the fintech space and also now in the DeFi and in the crypto assets space. They have lots of projects, especially on CBDCs. They had Project Guardian, they had Project Dunbar, Ubin, and now they have Project Orchid for CBDCs. So they're extremely advanced also on this field. And
yes, I know it to be for bank sales.
Yes, so it's for a very specific type of CBDCs, but they are very advanced.
That's a wholesale CBDC.
Okay, then some crypto-related court cases. So whereas a few years ago we didn't have any court case on crypto, now we have a lot. Fortunately or unfortunately, if you are a lawyer, it's a cool thing because you can make money. If you're specialized in crypto, you can make lots of money because most lawyers still don't know a lot about this. I mean, if you're a customer, like a user of crypto, it may also be good because it means that crypto is entering the mainstream space. But we've had some very high-profile court cases. We have obviously the FTX insolvency that I think everyone knows. I mean, even my parents know what the FTX is. They don't understand what went behind it, but they know. They're like, "Oh, it's crypto. What is happening?" Because it was on the news, you know. And I was very depressed at that time. I was like, "Oh my God, what is happening to the crypto world?"
You know, it's quite funny his name because it's Sam Bankman. And people are saying Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah. So he was actually heard on court. He testified on court a few days ago. So the case is still ongoing. We have still lots of developments to check on this case. Then we had the Terra Luna collapse that also happened last year. Last year was very tough for all of us that work on this space. Then we had, I think I also talked about this in my other class, where a developer of Tornado Cash was arrested in the Netherlands. You remember Tornado Cash? They did like, they had tumblers of crypto, so you could not know where the transactions came from. So this was also a very high profile case. You have all the Security Exchanges Commission investigation. You had a Bored Apes class action lawsuit, you know, Bored Apes, that NFT of like the ape that I showed you. You had the Meta Birkin case. There was a guy that, you know, there are some handbags. They are from the brand Birkin, and the guy created the NFTs from those handbags, and he was sued by Birkin. He called them Meta Birkins. He was sued and he lost. So because he had infringed intellectual property of the art and like the design of the handbags. Oh, and then this website that I put here is like, I think it's only for the US, but where they track all the crypto cases that have happened. And I checked it, and there are like so many already. And then finally, Portuguese legislation. So how is the regulatory overview in Portugal? I'm not going to talk about MiCA again, but who are the regulatory entities in Portugal? So you have the Bank of Portugal, you have CMVM, and you have the authority that supervises like funds and Seguros, which I now forgot the name. Insurance, exactly. So before MiCA, and this is still what is into force, if a crypto company, and this is what I do in my law firm, part of what I do in my law firm, if a crypto company did some services which are mostly the same that are on MiCA, if they had custody services, custodial wallet services, if they did exchange of crypto to fiat, crypto to crypto, they had to register with the Bank of Portugal. And I participated in quite a few processes of that. There are currently, I think, 12 companies that are registered with the Bank of Portugal, and I had the luck or not, because it's lots of work, to participate in some of these registration processes. It takes a really long time. The Bank of Portugal asks for lots and lots and lots of documents, and my law firm charges many thousands of euros for that process. Although the process itself, it's not paid, but the lawyer work is very expensive. And then you have CMVM, which is the Security Exchanges Commission here from Portugal, but it's not so aggressive as the one in the USA. But normally there's not really a registration process. But for example, the DLT pilot regime it is being overseen by the CMVM. But if you have a security token, if you want to launch a security token, normally it's recommended to present your project to the CMVM. Just go there with your white paper and show it, and they give like an opinion, but there's not really a registration process. Whereas in the Bank of Portugal, you have 2 notices from the Bank of Portugal that say you have to present this document, this document, this document, this document, and have this person doing compliance, this person doing something, this person needs to have a certificate on AML something. So it's a real registration process. Okay, so tax, it's what everyone always wants to know, and I had to study because I'm not a tax lawyer, and this is something that I say every day, because every day I receive messages from people saying, oh, but is this tax? This is not tax. I'm not a tax lawyer. Maybe I should have become a tax lawyer instead, because lots of money involved. But so until 31st of December of 2022, there was no crypto tax in Portugal. So Portugal was known as this crypto paradise. Okay, so everyone was moving here. You could be making millions in crypto and you're paying zero tax because it was not in the law whatsoever. The Portuguese government found out about this and they were like, oh, we need to tax this. We need to tax this. So starting from January 1st of this year, unfortunately, it's very sad, but crypto is now taxed in Portugal, but it's not as bad as in some other countries. Okay, and that's why people are still here and they didn't all move to Dubai or something where there's 0% tax. So, crypto asset is defined now in the Portuguese law, which is a major thing. It has a very similar definition to MiCA, so I'm not going on to that. NFTs are excluded, well, kind of excluded, it's very debatable, but most types of NFTs. And then in terms of tax, this is what I think all of you want to know. For those of you that do the IRS in Portugal, so that have to present their gains, their losses to the tax authorities, in terms of category B, which is your personal income, if you are already receiving crypto before from your work, you should have already declared it. I know many people did not declare it, but this was already taxed because it was already considered as like your personal income. It was just like not in the law. But so there's like this income calculation. It's very, very bad for you if you do mining. So mining is taxed at 95%, which is obviously for climate reasons. It's to completely ban mining. Okay, this is similar in many, many countries. But if you're doing mining, if you're like your main activity is doing mining, leave Portugal now.
There is a principal reason.
Yeah.
In order to control the electricity demand.
Okay.
To avoid the increased demand regarding data service that usually process the mining calculations in order to be more oriented to hydrogen projects.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, I mean, if you're doing mining, don't do it.
Staking.
I will come into that. It's not category B, it's category E.
Because you say mining or
Sorry, one at a time. Yes.
If you own crypto more than 12 months.
That is not category B. That is category G. I will go into that in the next slide.
But if you win in crypto and if you exchange to crypto and if you for a stable coin and if you stay
yes,
with
that's your investment. Yes, that's for investment. That yes, I will go into that for the next slide. That's the good part about the law. This one is if you are receiving your income in crypto. So I mean, you're just receiving crypto. You're not being paid in fiat. This is something else. This was already taxed. So this is not new in here. The only new part is the mining. It's not beneficial to do it in Portugal.
What is the 15% part?
The 15% is it's
to the margin.
Yeah, exactly. So no, that's this one. Yes.
What is this?
So
Depends on between the lines.
yes, so you're only taxed on 15% of that. So it's only 15, so it's still very good.
Yeah, but this is what when you are doing, when your life, when your business is to trade.
Yes, if your main activity is trading,
If
it's still good.
Your main activity is trading.
It's trading like crypto every day.
And you pay 15% on the
only on the gains that you have. But if your main activity is mining, then 95% of your gains are taxed.
Yes.
That's it. Yes, it's to disencourage money. But if you're doing this, like if you're doing trading, it's still good. It's 15%.
That's try to contain the development of data services. I don't
Only applies if I change crypto for fiat. If I don't change the crypto.
Yes, I'm going to talk about this.
And that's if I, for example, go for a stable coin.
Yes.
But it's a crypto, I don't pay the 15%.
Yes, for 1 year. Here, the 15% is not the tax. The tax is 28%, which is what I'm going to say now.
I have to send this to fiat.
after the 1 year passes.
If your business is to trade on crypto,
I'm going to explain this now.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so what is the good part about this law? If you are investing in crypto and you sell it for fiat, but if you have held that crypto for 1 year, your tax is 0%. You don't pay any tax. If you buy Bitcoin, it goes up. In the next day you sell it. On your gains, you pay 28% tax. Why 28%? It's the same tax that you pay for example, stocks.
Yeah.
But what Joaquin was saying is that you buy Bitcoin, it goes up, you change it to Ethereum, the 1 year starts counting again. If you change to a stable coin, you keep it 1 year, 0% tax. Yes,
Because the thing converted to fiat.
exactly.
The only one if you, for example, if you go from, if you have an income from for Bitcoin, okay, for Bitcoin exchange.
And then you change for USDC and you stay for 1 year, 0.
Yeah, because what I've understood is if I go from crypto to fiat, exactly, you have to pay.
Under 1 year, 28%. Yes, it's category G.
I totally agree.
So this is the good part about this law, and this was based on.
Exactly. And since I think that while you don't convert it to the real money, but I think that real money, they didn't understand the value of the stable coin. That is the thing. I think that they didn't have reached that this moment. But they will. But they will.
No, you know that.
This is the conventional thinking. If the money comes into the bank, we'll charge no tax. It's just thinking conventional. The thing near is that you can have the same value, okay, because it's a stable coin, and you can exchange 12 months later, or you can have a car, you can use it.
Go to the world of DeFi, it's very hard to trace and track.
So this is the only way that they have. It's a tangible way that they have to actually tax you. So when you try to put the money back in a real bank, that's how it is. When it goes back to the CFI. What is a stable coin?
I can safely say that
don't understand.
I heard some stories, okay, and so when the government was proposing this, they called one of my friends, like after they had approved it, or like no, like a few hours before approving, they called one of my friends and they asked him, sorry, can you explain what a token or what the stablecoin is again? So
I'm saying.
yes, they don't understand. But the first proposal, and this was some big efforts that the crypto community here, me included, did well with the government, was that they wanted to tax each time you exchange crypto to crypto. So this rule would not apply, meaning that the crypto ecosystem in Portugal would be killed. Because I mean, for example, you're changing Bitcoin to Ethereum to Cardano to Algorand, you'd be taxed each time you do this.
But
So
that already exists in the US, right? Because I think there's some companies that they need to give to the IRS all the transactions of each person. I remember.
I'm not sure in the US how it is, but I know that people declare their crypto gains in the IRS.
Exactly.
Whereas here, so far,
Staking wasn't considered a gain. Anything.
Staking is like a conta prazo or something like that. So a different concept. But I know that all these sects, they have a kind of an option to output the XML file, so you can put on the IRS with all your transactions. And
Yes, I have one question, technical.
that's worse than us.
If you buy an house with liquidity that you earn from the crypto transaction, and if you buy it with crypto, you apply some taxes to this?
sorry, if you buy, can you
Buy
repeat?
the house with crypto.
Oh, okay,
You
so
have in Portugal some cases already.
yes, it
of
was
people
my law
that-
firm that did that.
Okay, that buy some houses.
So, okay, I'm going to explain how that works. So if you heard some news last year that a house in Braga was bought for 3 Bitcoins, that was my law firm. So how did that work? So normally when you buy a house, you have to do a type of contract. That was not this, okay? So what we did was a permuta, which is like an exchange contract. So the 3 Bitcoins were traded for another asset. So we traded an asset for an asset, meaning that not all the normal taxes that you have to pay on a house were paid.
You didn't pay?
But yes, but you paid in fiat. But the thing is, on the moment of the signature of the contract, they fixed the price, obviously, of the Bitcoins. Otherwise, it would be like, it could be 60K.
As I understood, they have used trust behind
We had, yeah, we had
with fixing the
We had new trust, not fixing, but they had agreed on the contract that we did that the price of the Bitcoin would be fixed at this specific date and second. Okay, so that was completely fixed. But yes, the tax part, it's obviously paid in fiat, but since it was an exchange,
That was not the question. My question is, if you earn money with transaction in crypto.
Yes.
Those value.
majoria, yes, category G.
And you buy the house with that plus value,
Mhm.
majoria. If you buy that house, you will have the value,
Mhm.
okay? And you didn't pay the taxes of that value.
Why didn't you pay the taxes? Because the 1 year had
But
passed?
You didn't exchange.
You never, okay, yeah.
Exactly.
But in that moment that you're buying the house,
Exactly.
you might,
It's my question.
Mhm.
In this case, you have to pay taxes.
I mean, yeah, yes.
It's not the fiat.
According to the value of the house, independently if you pay in fiat or in cryptocurrency.
No, I'm not talking about TNT. I'm talking about the 28%.
I mean, if the 1 year passed,
No, I didn't change. I have crypto. I didn't change.
okay, then you're not paying the 28% tax.
That doesn't exist for the Portuguese government.
If the one, yes, if you're not exchanging, so for the Portuguese government,
If the
it's,
transaction is
fiat.
accepted, paid it's out of the.
Out of the scope.
Yeah.
He had the Bitcoin and he paid.
You understand
Yeah. But this is complex.
Yeah.
Now, this is because in my mind, you can tax it.
In some point, you need to have a document saying that you bought the house and the value of the house. So that's where the tricky part starts.
Yes.
Like, what's the price of the house? One BTC, what the hell is this?
No, but I can show you here.
So that's it.
That you are not paying the taxes for the trade that you are making through crypto, and you're using this
Yeah.
buying something else,
exactly.
and you don't pay the taxes, you pay all the taxes.
You don't pay taxes in this
Yes,
case.
for the crypto, no, for the house you will pay anyway.
No, I'm talking about the 28%. I put it, I don't put it in fiat, I put it in a.
Yeah, in a.
In other asset. But in a asset in the real world.
Meaning, in the end of the day,
Yeah,
you are not exchanging to fiat. If you're not exchanging to fiat, you are not paying taxes.
Okay.
But after the moment that the house is registered,
You need to register
The 28.
Because the 28 should be paid every year.
No, the 28% is only if you're, imagine that you buy a stock from Galp and it increases and you sell it.
Yeah.
You pay 28%.
For
In crypto, for every transaction that you do, for the gains. In crypto, if you have a gain, but you had held that gain for more than 1 year and you sell it to fiat, convert it to fiat, you pay 0% tax. You don't pay tax. Yeah. Okay, so this is just a curiosity. It's not part of my, but this is a portal that we built with our client Zone. But keep in mind that all of these houses, and this is how we did that transaction. It's not the sale and purchase agreement. It's a permuta. It's an exchange. Okay, so right now in Portugal, you can buy a house, but it's another type of company. Zone, yes, Zone. So I translated this web page when I was. Okay. So yeah, we don't. and it's not only Bitcoin, okay? So you can literally come here and you can, oh, actually they took it, but before they had like Algorand and everything. Now they only have Bitcoin and Ethereum. But before you had more.
Then it doesn't fit the number, it's so big.
No, it was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. But this one is non-Bitcoin. Okay. Okay, so we don't have much time. Okay, so I already talked about this, I think. Oh, so another thing is that there's also stamp duty on crypto, which is ridiculous. So stamp duty is a type of tax that exists in Portugal already, but they also decided, oh, let's also apply it for crypto transactions. So there are like some exceptions if you're giving crypto, for example, to your spouse. If you're donating, this is a donation, a tax on donations. If you're giving it to your spouse or to your descendants, so to your ascendants, you don't pay stamp duty. But if you're giving it to someone in this room, you have to pay stamp duty on a crypto transaction, which is crazy because
Yes, that's what you do to everyone.
yes,
Me too.
so this has some exceptions. For example, airdrops. So
But they don't know.
let's say that you did airdrops, because imagine you had your MetaMask and you know, unfortunately now that you all have MetaMask, you'll start receiving very weird NFTs and tokens which are scams. Okay, don't click them, but anyone that has your wallet address can airdrop you things and you don't really have to accept them. So don't click anything suspicious right now. The only NFT that you will have is my NFT, okay? So don't click anything else. But imagine that you had to pay 4% stamp duty tax on everything that you receive, even if it was like something that you never wanted to receive, okay? And then you also have the crypto asset firms that are incorporated here in Portugal under this new tax law. They also have some reporting obligations to the tax authorities on their users. So right now, I don't think Binance or Coinbase are registered here, but if they do eventually register here, all of our data will have to be given to the tax authorities. Okay.
But do they need to pay 4% on every transaction made in Binance? If Binance will-
No, it's a reporting obligation. They just have to give this information. They don't. I mean, they pay the income tax, but that's not specific to crypto. That's for every single company. Okay, so we are going to enter our last topic. We only have 9 minutes, so I'm going to skip this a bit. But there are many ways of getting funded with crypto. So I think you all know about IPOs, initial public offerings, and then when crypto appeared, ICOs were created. ICO is initial coin offering. And many of you may know, but in 2017, there was the ICO boom. And I have here, sorry, this is an ad on stock markets. So this is what 4 years of ICOs look like. This has no sound, I think. Oh, you're not seeing it.
No.
Oh, sorry. Goodbye.
Double screen.
I think I have to duplicate my screen probably.
Yeah. Or you can do it in
He's right to the extended one.
Do I have?
no.
What? Oh wait, it's appearing here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then you cannot see it on the Zoom.
Yeah. I will put the video on the Telegram. I don't have time. Sorry. Okay, so this is what 4 years of ICOs. As you can see, first it was Ethereum in 2014. Then, well, 2015, nothing really happened. Where did you put this? Oh, sorry, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, we are seeing,
Yeah.
Okay, then suddenly we have a big funding in 2016, and then in 2017,
And then the
17.
Dow project was
And then the bubble explodes.
ICOs.
And then ICO boom, okay?
Or mega.
It's crazy, okay? So 2017 was what we call the ICO boom, which at the time, most of these ICOs were not regulated. And as you can see, there's lots of money
Yeah,
here.
I know, this was one mistake.
This is a this is an ad for a game, apparently. Okay, so let me try this again. Okay. So this was the ICO boom, okay. And then in 2018, 2019, and especially now, we saw a big decrease on ICOs. So the biggest ICOs were this that I identified here. Ethereum was 18 million. Filecoin was 257 million. It was there on that video I showed you. Chainlink 32 million. EOS 4 billion. It's like a huge number. But then as this ICO boom this hype kind of died down, we had some other versions of ICOs. So we have security token offerings, which are STOs, which, well, these ones have to be regulated since you are already qualifying a token as a security. Then you have, I'm just going through them because we don't have much time, but we have IEOs, which are initial exchange offerings. So you're doing an ICO inside an exchange. Then you have IDOs, which are initial DEX offerings, which are ICOs done through decentralized exchanges, something that Pedro talked to you about. Then we have INOs. I've actually never participated in one, but it's initial NFT offerings. Okay, so you can even raise money through the NFTs that you have. You have equity token offerings, which I had never heard about. I think it's a completely recent term where you are offering your equity tokens to your investors, which is kind of an STO, but they decided to create they decided to create a new term. You know, people like to create terms in Web3. You even have the centralized autonomous ICOs, which are called DICOs, which I never heard about also, but it was proposed by Vitalik in 2018. And then we have SAFTs, which are simple agreements for future tokens. So this was, I mean, I don't think we have time, but this was the part of my presentation where we were going to talk about how should we do due diligence for crypto investments. And this QR code was just asking you how, like, what elements, I won't have time to show it, so we can discuss it if we have time on another class, but it was the main elements that you thought would be needed to do a due diligence on a crypto investment. So for example, we have to read the white paper, we have to see who the team is and everything. And then I had a practical exercise because this company approached me and told me, I want you to be my ambassador. And I still haven't analyzed the project. We're going to all analyze it together, but we don't have time. But it's apparently a metaverse game. Okay, so I'm not going to become an ambassador for a metaverse game, but we were going to do the due diligence together. And then we had a Q&A and the debates. Unfortunately, we don't have time for this since we have only 3 minutes left. And then, yeah, that was the due diligence. So thank you. We don't have time for more today. So if you have any question.
Not the due diligence was a checklist, was more.
No, it was for you to just discuss.
Okay.
Like what element, I mean, we can do this very quickly. When you are doing does everyone know what a due diligence is? It's like the process that you should go through when you think about, oh, there's this token, I'm going to invest in it. That this project, I'm going to work for this project. So what types of elements do you think you should analyze before you invest? But you don't need to, no, there's no need to scan it. We don't have time. Don't scan it. We don't have time to answer, but you can answer now very quickly if you want and discuss among yourselves. No, we don't have time for the QR code.
Yes, let's like this. Let's put this on a Telegram of this class
Yes,
today.
I'm going to put all the links that I couldn't show you on the Telegram.
And yeah, and this QR code, and we can scan it. The QR code.
I have the
You have the link,
I have
yeah.
the link here, yeah.
See.
I'll put all the links, and if you want to answer,
Yeah, because I want to put the results there.
yes, and then I received the results on my email, so then I can share them with you. I'm going to post it on the Telegram.
We still have the coffee machine there and coffee and stuff. If you want to take a coffee, you can hang around if you want to chat.
Okay, bye, Qatar and Sonia.
Okay, we meet again on 11, I believe.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And please start
very
thinking about your projects.